Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 25th day of April, 2022. Well, apparently everything went up fine on the blog this weekend. I schedule it, so you never know. Sometimes it doesn't post, and you've got to go back in and hit publish again, but I watch, and they all came up, so that was cool. Newsletters out. If you want to sign up for that, you just get the esoteric influences and then the cosmic ray information for the coming week in newsletter form if you want that. I know everybody's inboxes are crazy, so mine certainly is. I have to go through frequently and get rid of stuff, but anyway, because I don't even know how it gets there. I unsubscribe, it still's there. But in mine, there's an unsubscribe link up above when you first open it up, and also one below it. So you can always, if it gets to be too much, just let it go. You can always sign up again. It's fine. I'm not going to have my feelings hurt either way. But I just thought it would be fun to do a newsletter. So I've been doing it now for a while, and it's just interesting. Something for me to do. Anyway, I hope you all had a good weekend. We got to see our youngest son and his wife and the kids, and that was fun. And made pizza with the grandkids. Oh, it was great. My husband got everything together. He made the gluten-free crust and froze it, and then we got it down there, and it all went just fine. I couldn't believe it. But a lot of fun seeing them. The kids are getting big, and the little one is 3 months old and is a chunk. Is just oh, it's just wonderful to be a grandparent anyway, because they're just great. But anyway, that's it. I'm done talking about the grandkids and the grandma stuff. So anyway, let's go over today's esoteric influences from the post on the blog over at Stepping Aside. That web address is imsteppingaside.com, and there's links below the video if you click on Show More. If you're new to YouTube, those of you who aren't know all about that. You just click on Show More, and it opens up. It talks about what this whole thing is, as above, so below, what I do here. But then below that are some links, including the one to the website. So anyhow, so for today, the 25th, we have a 25 reduces to 7. So we have a numerology for the day itself of 7. That's not the life path. That's not the same thing as that. So observation, balance, seeking truth, meditation, magic, analysis, and spirituality are the common associated words with the numerology of 7. The rune today is Sowillow, which indicates the sun, higher self, self-confidence, energy, illumination, the energy. I said that twice, and the will. Let's see. Rubeus is the Geomancy rune. Now, Rubeus is the adult version, really, of Pur. But Rubeus is considered an evil influence by past geomancers back in medieval times, whenever geomancy came into being. Let's see, but I view it as a misuse of force. It can also mean red hair or temper or overreaction, a polarized agenda. Could be Rubeus. Today the sun's in Taurus, the moon's in Aquarius until Pisces at 3:15 a.m. So as of this video, it's in Pisces right now. The planetary governance today is the moon, if you're working magic today. And although you have strong career ambitions, your emotional intensity leaves you needing alone time to regain your composure. You might be moody today, which could intensify if you're around others who are experiencing the same. Step back and observe before responding to understand the overall truth of the matter. Make certain that you use opportunities that come your way for the greater good and in a way that preserves healthy boundaries. Avoid engaging in behavior that accomplishes little or relies on insights that don't necessarily achieve any results. Instead, an honest or even-handed approach will serve you better in the long run. So that is today's, I'll move that out of the way here. That's today's esoteric influences, a little bit different than simply an astrology reading. It incorporates astrology. Certainly, I do the chart for 8 o'clock in the morning, and I do the same with the human design chart. And that employs I Ching hexagrams, the information from the I Ching, which I just think that is the coolest deal. I've been working with it for a long time now, and I just find it to be really, really informative. In some ways, even more informative than astrology itself. But I like to combine the two together with runes and the numerology for the day, just to get some kind of just like I do here, basically, just to get some kind of multifaceted interpretation that people can think about than just simply one type of paradigm. So anyhow, let's get my keyboard out of the way. And we'll take our rune for the reading. Sometimes they tend to dovetail with, it's happened a few times, with the runes, the Elder Futhark rune and the Geomancy rune from the esoteric influences, but usually not. But sometimes it's kind of fun when that happens. Well, we have Rado. Now, Rado means ride. It's comprised of Laguz and Vunyo and Kenaz 3 times. One time down here is kind of skewed. There's also Isa there. But Rado is about the idea of integrated motion. So if you think rider and horse, you can understand that idea of integrated motion. But it can also be integration with other people. And I think that the interesting thing about Rado, it's the idea of the soul journey. It's the idea of the process over the goal. So it's the process itself. It's the interaction. It's the integration with others instead of whatever goal you're trying to reach together. I mean, that's important too. But how you get there matters, and how integrated you are from a higher self perspective. If you ride a horse, I don't ride horses. I have when I was little, but I've read, and my husband says, because he had a horse growing up, you have to work in conjunction with that horse, because if the horse thinks you're trying to, doesn't want to, in other words, if the horse doesn't want you on its back, you're going to be off. One way or the other. So if you can't figure out a way to work together with a horse, you can't steer the horse where you want him to go. They're just not going to listen to you. So there's got to be some kind of giving up of the ego, I think, is part of Rado as well, where you're able to just listen to what someone else wants and incorporate all of that into, and that in boundaries, for example. So that could also be part of a Rado type of experience. But let's see what the Geomancy runes say. Oh, are we? No? I was thinking it was going to be Via, but no. Let's see, where are we? Oh, okay. So it's a Kata Draconis. It's one of the Draconi. You got Capit and you got Kata. Capit would be new beginnings. It'd be on the threshold of something. It would be the head of the dragon. But Kata, on the other hand, is the tail of the dragon. So that's Kata Draconis. So it's going to be about endings. It's also about karma, but not in terms, at least in my view, not in terms of karma controlling you, but past experience, including past life experience, coming in and informing your perceptions over what's going on at the moment. Learning from past experience could be another way of saying that. So again, in integrated motion with other people, in harmony, in working the process over the goal, past experience is going to come in and inform that whole thing. You know when you're running off a cliff, so don't. So it's probably the easiest way to look at that. But let's see what the cards have to say. This could take us in an entirely different direction. I've gone ahead and done some shuffling already, so I'm not going to do very much right now. Because usually when I shuffle on the table, these cards are new enough that they're slippery. Well, see there, it won't even go in together. Look at that. I have to get over the top of them by shuffling on my lap, and then I can control them better. They're just too shiny and too slippery still. I try to just reserve these cards for the readings, but I'm thinking maybe I need to probably just start working with them daily for other kinds of work, and that way they'll get crunchy enough, or whatever you want to call it. The slickness will go away, and my screen just went funny there for a minute. I wonder if that will process out. Otherwise, it may go fast and then stop. It was weird. Usually I don't see that happen unless it's on playback. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the first 3 cards. If we need more, we'll take them. We don't normally take more than 5. If I take any more, it's usually just 1 more, but we'll see. Well, we start out with, let's see, we've got cups, pentacles, and swords. So emotions, which is the water element. We've got pentacles, which is the physicality, which is home, tradition, work, all of that. Now that's pentacles. They're the earth element. And then you've got the 2 of swords here, which the swords would be the air element or the mental side of life. Justice, fairness, interaction, communication, and how we have it presented here is we have the 2 of cups, the 8 of pentacles, and the 2 of swords. So I'm going to leave it in the order that it is, because you can move your cards around if you want to, but I think I'm not going to do that because I've got 2s on each end, and then yeah, I'm going to leave it that way. Let's start with the 2 of cups, though. Here we see a man and a woman. You see the line of demarcation here. That's likely their future home, we'll say. But they're coming together in some kind of harmony, in healing. You've got the winged lion above with the caduceus below. So this is a sign for healing. All right. So and you can see that he's taking a step toward her. If you look at this in terms of polarity, this would be the masculine side of self and the feminine side of self. So or projective and receptive. So if you're wanting to look at this in terms of just the individual and not in terms of healing with someone else, then it could be, we'll start there. It could be healing the masculine and feminine divide within. Perhaps you've been too self-assertive to the point of being aggressive and pushy. And so you need to have the feminine side or the receptive side of self come back in and say, well, maybe you need to think about that before you actually open your mouth. And so anyway, but if not, you could be coming into some kind of healing with someone else. You can look at it, if you're a woman, you could look at it that maybe there's a man in your life that is going to extend his hand in healing. But you don't have to. This could be internal polarity that's going on. And so it doesn't necessarily have to mean a man and a woman here. But there's something that's happening. He's taking a step forward. He's initiating healing. And so it could be that this could be telling you that you've had some issues with somebody. Again, in terms of Rado, there's no integration between you and someone else. You're feeling this lack of focus, this lack of harmony with what you're doing. And so maybe this is telling you to let the assertive side of self come out and you be the one to take the first step in terms of healing. So let's not get too caught up in the masculine or feminine of this and think about it more from an energetic standpoint. So there could be something that's going on in your life where you feel like you need to be the one to go ahead and take the step forward and to come in balance, reciprocity with somebody else. Again, that is very, very conducive here to alignment with Rado. The end of something, you see. You're putting whatever issues between you and someone else to an end. You're trying to bring that to an end. And you're using past experience to come in and inform how you're going to do that. And it's got to start with someone, right? It has to start somewhere. If it's not going to be them, then it has to be you, right? And I think I'm going to leave the other 2. We'll talk about the other 2 at the end. We'll talk about that as the last card. I just see a sense of balance here because when you come into healing with somebody else, you can then get on with things. There's an element of getting on with things, having the inner strength to pursue security. Maybe. So maybe this is a love relationship that's kind of gotten off track of some kind. And you need to have something progressive happen here. The 8 of Pentacles really is about, it can be, this is kind of more of a underlying message that I'm extrapolating from it, but But here he's getting on with things, isn't he? He's getting back to business. He's getting back to working his craft. He's working diligently. He's out away from his home, or this could, you can't see behind him, so this could actually be part of a town. But if not, if that's his home, then he's away from home and he's working diligently. The 8, it denotes strength. It can also be leadership, material recognition, and success and approval. Another level of greater harmony. So maybe whatever has been happening has perhaps caused a break in that process, a break in that energy, where you're having trouble staying focused on what's going on. But if you can heal whatever's going on with you and someone else, or you in a group, or whatever, if say for example this is something at work, and the group itself, either you and another person or you and others, or maybe you're working on a project, but nobody can really get together on it, they can't get integrated, you can't move forward. Once you heal that, and maybe it's you today that's going to take that first step in doing that, understanding boundaries, being able to respect the feelings and the input of others. Maybe there's some of that that's missing. And if so, how do you move forward together on anything? Again, the process has been affected. The rado part of that, the process itself has been affected. Once you heal that, though, you can get back to work. If it's between you and a partner, a spouse, or someone that you share your life with, whatever that looks like for you, then maybe healing that allows you then to continue on in the process of building a life together and creating material security for one another within that. And again, if it's at work, though, maybe once you heal and reestablish the boundaries and heal whatever the conflict is that's keeping you all from moving forward together, you can get back to work. There's just a feeling of let's get back to work. Once we heal that, let's get back to work. To build that progressive success, in other words. Rado has that same sort of feeling of progressive success. It's like another Geomancy rune, Fortuna Minor. The success is there, but it's like incremental. And it's not like the big windfall with Fortuna Major. And then finally, we have the 2 of Swords. You see her back again, we have lines of demarcation. I'm going to show you this. This is this double line. Once in a while it'll be a black line, and it's not on every card, okay? It's on specific ones. Here you can see it over here. You can see that dual line right there. You see that? And again, we have it here. It gives the feeling of that was then, this is now. There's a separation between what's happening on one side of the line, the double line, and what's going on in the other. Now, this may be reflecting the air element with swords, but you've also got water in the background that isn't smooth. It's not really choppy, though. But emotions are involved. She's turning her back to all of that, though, and she needs to think rationally. You see the maiden moon up here. So there's a sense of new beginnings that has to happen. Again, you're going to have the sense of that here. Once you heal the whatever's going on, then you can begin anew. The same is true for here, but here we're making a decision, and we need to make it in balance. We need to do it dispassionately and not allow emotions to come in. You've done that here. But now there needs to be a decision that's made. One that's based on fairness and justice. I mean, realistically, we could have started with the 2 of Swords and then moved to the 2 of Cups and then ended with the 8 of Pentacles. And that might be incrementally or process-oriented, a better way of looking at this. And if we did, then we make the decision to let go of emotions and look at this realistically. Look at the situation realistically, because emotions may be getting in the way. Some hurt feelings may be getting in the way of a decision that needs to be made. And if you're going to move forward together, that cannot be simply an emotional decision. It's got to be a rational one as well. So the effect of rationality is the blindfold goes on to emotions behind you, and you don't let them interfere with the decision that you need to make. It makes sense for us in a group at our job. If we need to accomplish a task, we have to be able to work on that together. You've got to get the emotion out of it in some respects. The agenda out of it, if you will, the emotional control. Maybe somebody in the group just wants to have all this control over everything, and it's at the expense of the input of other people. Well, that brings up a lot of emotions. Well, you can leave it there, but if you do, the conflict's going to remain. At some point, somebody's got to have the wherewithal to say, look, if we don't deal with this, we aren't going to get the task done. That's the rational side of things. All right. And so you're basically, what you're doing here and here is you're blending air and water. So intellect and emotions. And we need to bring both into balance so that we can get on with it. Right. If you have some struggle in a relationship, if you want to just bring this down to a relationship level, if you're having a struggle with that, it's going to be both. It could be about power, but it can also be about having one person not hear the other person. So that brings up all kinds of emotions, right? But rationally, you have a broken relationship. If you don't have the ability to assert your own truth in a relationship with somebody else, then you don't really have a relationship at all. So you have to be able to think about things both emotionally and reaction-wise. Generally, it's the emotion that stimulates all of it. So that's why I was comfortable leaving, the emotion where it was, the Two of Cups where it was in the whole thing, because I think that you have to heal that whole thing within. You have to heal the emotional dynamic within. But I guarantee you, it's probably not coming entire. That decision to do so is not coming entirely from emotions. It's like eventually, I remember a woman I know years and years ago in my 20s. She and her husband would fight about things, and they wouldn't talk to one another for days. And it's like eventually it's like something's got to give. Well, that's the rational side of it. It's like something's got to give here. We have kids, we are a family, we can't not speak to one another, And so that's the intellectual side, where we understand the reason, we reason the whole thing out. But all that she's saying here, by blindfolding herself and crossing her arms, holding her swords out that way, is that we need to do this in balance. We need to do this in fairness. We need to turn off the emotion a little bit here and allow a decision to be made that takes us in a better direction. And in that case, we can get on with things. So realistically, if we wanted to move these cards around, we would start with the Two of Swords. I just like the pattern of having twos on each end, but it doesn't matter. And then we make the decision, you know what, we've got to come back together in reciprocity and harmony. We have to respect one another. We have to allow for the other person's point of view. And express ourselves in a way that is based on justice and harmony and fairness. Again, that's the Two of Swords coming in, so that we can get on with our lives together. And we can start building our future together. Let's take one more card. And see if we can get just a little bit more focus. And I'm not sure, but again, we've got Caput or Cata Draconis that's saying this is the end of something. And to learn from experience, to learn from past life even, to allow what we truly know to be true to come in and actually influence instead of what we want to be true. There's a difference. So let's take the 13th one. For randomness sake, because 13's my number, if you want peace and harmony, that's what you've got to do. If you want to create abundance in your life, you can't be in conflict with people you love all the time. Somebody's got to give an inch. Somebody's got to reach toward the other person and say, look, we can't go on this way. Like my friend would say to her husband, we can't go on like this. Something's got to give. And when it does, you see, then you can be like the queen here. On her, it looks like she's going on a hunt of some kind, but she's in her garden. Maybe she's got all of her abundance around her. I love this robe. But she's got her falcon here, like they do, like the rich do back in medieval times. The queen would, they would go, the king and queen would go on their little falcon hunts. You can see the little head thing around it, right on. You can see it right there. So it hasn't started yet. I don't know what they call that. It's not a mask. It's like a shroud or something over its head, so it doesn't get all crazy until it's time to get crazy and fly about. But the idea of the 9 is endings and completion and generosity and spirituality. And basically she's, after doing their due diligence and building their future together, they've created some level of security, and now here she is in the garden. And I just look at this as peace and contentment. So I think once the battle is over and the decisions are made to heal, and again, I think we can, that looks better there. We can look at it from the decision was made to heal. And so one step forward, whoever, and again, this doesn't have to be between a man and a woman, but one side of self decides, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start that process. And I'm going to step forward in healing and offer healing and compassion and love and reciprocity to the other person and or other people. Someone has to take that first step. And when you can do that, then you can then get on with things, get on with building your life, or if it's at work, finishing a project that the boss wants you to finish. And then you're going to have some peace and security in the end. But again, it's about understanding the process itself, the rado of it all, instead of thinking solely about the goal, irrespective of how you get there. How you get there matters in whatever this is talking about. You know, I like to keep these general enough that, you know, you've got other aspects of your life that's going on, and it may not simply be you and a partner. It could be, you know, you and a group. It could be something at work. Again, it could be neighbors. It could be family members, the greater family that you have. Maybe you and a sibling are having issues, or you're having issues with your parents, or maybe the whole family is just having issues and they're kind of at odds with one another. Somebody has to take that first step and make that effort to bring the process back into focus and forget about all the different agendas that are at work. You know, if you all basically love one another and you value having your family together, then go have your family together. Figure the rest of that out later, or check it at the door. Leave it outside. Forget about the personal, you know, political views, for example. That's such a big thing right now with people, and has been now for what, since 2016, sort of, or maybe 2015. We've been struggling with this for maybe, oh gosh, 7 years now, where the politics of things can get in the way of families coming together and just being families, just enjoying a day together, catching up with one another, seeing how big the kids have grown, and just whatever is going on. That's the process of things. That's the rado of things. Putting things to an end that don't need to be there, bringing past experience in to inform your awareness so that you understand the bigger picture. That's really what this energy, I think, of the reading is all about today. So however that applies to you, hopefully you'll find some information here that was helpful to kind of reorder your thinking about it, and or at least give you something to think about in terms of what you need to accomplish. So I guess that's it. We went a little bit long today. We're almost at 30 minutes here, but apologies there. Mondays are sometimes like that, though. So, you know, hang in there, and, come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Thank you so much for coming by. If you haven't clicked subscribed yet, I'd love you to do that and come back again. And like I say, and join our little tarot and rune family. This is just another way of looking at ideas that maybe we haven't thought about, and maybe there's some way that they can help assist us in the decisions we have to make going forward here. So this, or it just gives you something to think about. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll talk again on Thursday. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.